Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of ParentTown TV. Today I have Mrs. Sher-Li Torrey with
Hi,
me,
yeah.
and she's the founder of Moms at Work.
Yeah.
And we're going to be having a very interesting conversation on how to climb the corporate ladder and still have your sanity and be a supermom. So Sher-Li, tell me a little bit about Moms at Work. How long have you been doing this for?
I've been doing this since early 2010, and it's really a portal for supporting women who want work-family balance. We list flexible work arrangements. We teach women, if you've gone away for a while, how do you come back into the workforce. We also try to encourage them to think about the career as something that's possible, even though you've had a kid, or you've had 3 kids or 4 kids, still try to support them.
Mm-hmm. So at Moms at Work, is it just a portal where you can find job listings,
Yes.
or is it?
Yeah, you can find job listings, but we also run workshops. We do a lot of recruitment for companies, for women who are literally wanting to do career transitions as well. So it's very supportive of this whole concept of, I can have a career, but also at the same time have a family and really enjoy the moments with the children.
Okay. And so is it just can women find full-time employment?
We started to do that more and more because in the earlier years when we first started, it was purely flexible work arrangement. And obviously the kids have now grown up in the last 6 years, and so we've had some members say, you know what, I want to come back in full-time. So we've split that into 2. So for example, in our last career fair, we had one segment which was all flexi work positions, and the other one was literally just full-time positions for women who had a career gap and then coming back into the workforce. And the employers were very open and welcoming, and they invited all these women to say, come on in, we're open to it, which is always a good thing, I think. Yeah.
So tell me about yourself. Do you have children?
Yeah, I do. I have 2, and one of them is very active.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what are the age of your children?
The elder one is 8, so she's in school, and the 4-year-old is the one who keeps us awake at night. Yeah.
So before you founded Moms at Work, were you working full-time?
Yes, I was. I was heading up the Office of Career Services, the department that looks after the postgraduates. So people who have MBAs, Masters of Applied Finance. And it was interesting because a large percentage of those were career transitioners. They would have worked for a long time, and they would say, I want to change into a different career, for example. And because of that, I developed quite a bit of experience and had a lot of contacts with employers. So I thought, why not do this and start this up and then see whether it could take off, and it took off.
Oh, very interesting. And so do you actually think that moms struggle? What is their biggest struggle, like when they first become moms, and is it the whole idea that they want to be home with their children, but they actually have to be at work?
Yeah. I think it's something called mommy skills.
Okay.
It's amazing because this
We even have a term for it.
it's really amazing because we're at work, you're guilty about not spending time with the kid. And when you're at home with the kids, you think, I should be spending more time at work. So the truth is, you never really get rid of the guilt unless you decide for yourself that I'm not going to feel guilty about this anymore. Because I always explain this to someone. Some people see life as, I'm going to balance work and family. I love that. It's 50%, 50%, and it doesn't work that way. Yeah, because there are really some women who love being a mother so much that they say, it's 90% that, and I don't want to work anymore. I want to be a stay-at-home mom. Or there are women who say, I really love my career, and I'm not going to give that up entirely just because I have a kid. And the thing is, to me, after meeting so many mothers, we have about 20,000 moms right in our database, and I see this all the time. It's a whole range of women and a whole range of mothers, and it's really up to you. You can't really compare with the next person or with someone that you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really the key thing, rather than be very focused or obsessed about having this whole I need to have it all. I hate that term, honestly, because we cannot have it all. I mean, that's the truth, and I think really at the end of the day, it's really your own definition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone else is going to tell you should be a director and have 5 kids. I think it's possible, but there's something that has to give, which is usually sleep, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And personal time.
Yeah, personal.
So no more manicures, pedicures.
No. It's all fun stuff, and it doesn't happen until the kids are older. Yeah.
So what about yourself? Do you think you have it all?
Most days I think I do, unless the kids act up, then I think, oh, I just gotta go back to work. But I think, like I said, because it was something that hit me very hard, that it's about having that understanding of what it was important to me. And the other thing is also the stages of life, right? You go through different stages. If your parents, your own parents need you more at that time, you might shift as well. And the children, obviously, when they're younger, they are needy for time. And as they get older, it's about quality time. As they become teenagers, you find the time you want to spend with them may not be as much, or rather, they don't want to spend time with you as much, unfortunately. But you want to spend that quality time and be able to do that. And also career, right? Because we're at different stages. There are times where you're at the stage where you really have to put in that amount of time to get to where you want to go. And sometimes it's just kind of, well, I can say this on air, but you're kind of chilling, and taking it kind of easy at work. So it's really about situation and not being too pushy about saying that I want to be exactly what society deems as the perfect mom.
Yeah. So what about, so today, don't you feel like we're putting a lot of pressure by saying moms at work instead of, dads at work?
Yeah, I get that a lot. Like, dads do call me up and say, you're biased. You should set a dad's at work. And I said, well, please go ahead, right? I think what's interesting is perhaps the reason why, and I've asked employers this before, why do you offer flexible work arrangements to women more than to men? And in the earlier years, they would explain it to me as, we're not sure, but we've tried it out, and we do find that women stay longer in flexible work arrangements. Men usually, probably society as well, they would put this whole pressure on a man to say that you are the sole or the main breadwinner, and the woman has the role of nurture and combination of it. So it is changing, and I do have men who write in and I say, fair enough, I look you as a member, it's fine, and all that. But by and large, they do still have a lot of challenges in society. Like I say this all the time, one of the things we talk about, which we teach, is, for example, interview questions that only mothers get. I ask this about men and they say, it's true, we don't get this. So, for example, a mother has had a kid. You do sometimes have employers ask, are you planning on having number two? And the question is, why don't men get asked that question? See, so until that changes, and I think, well, it's not in my lifetime, that will change. The only solution I have is then to find the jobs that will support this, and also at the same time encourage employers, which is what we do, to say, think outside of the box. How can I redesign jobs to keep the women in the workforce, and make them happy? So we do quite a bit of that as well, when we work with the companies to redesign the jobs a little bit, or sometimes it's about changing mindsets. So we go in and talk to hiring managers who tell me it cannot be done, and after 2-3 months working with them, redesigning the job, talking to the team, you have a bit of a shift where they say, maybe it might work, and I won't lose half my population of females, So I think that's something that we talk about a lot, which is we say, how do you create this environment where it's very win-win? And I'm not a feminist. I'm not here to go and change the world, but I am here to say that there are things that can be done in a very small, but when it's put on a bigger scale, you can actually see how it does create an impact.
So would you say, so if a woman goes for flexi work arrangement, would it be should her salary be at a discounted rate?
Oh, yeah, we get asked it a lot. Yeah, like, should you cut my benefits and all that? But I think it's it is case by case basis, because usually in most cases the KPIs don't change. So if your deliverables are pretty much the same, technically there should be no change in pay. But there are cases where there has been a shift in the KPI because, for example, you're not in the office as much and therefore you don't have so much client-facing opportunities. And if such a thing happens, we do explain to the female employee, we say, look, given that there is a change, you have to understand that you're given time. And time, if you really think about it, I think you probably understand this, it is really a very expensive commodity. That flexibility of time, that ability to choose to use that time to do something else, which is, in this case, spend time with your baby, spend time with your kids, is worth something as well. And it's about this whole explaining to both sides and seeing it that way, rather than have the employee coming in to say, it's my right to be paid the same, or the employer coming in to say, well, I gave you the free time, so you should be happy. It's them coming together and saying, okay, you know what, I understand what you're asking for, and I'm giving this to you. In exchange, this is what I give back to you. And you really create a win-win situation. And it really works, because we've seen employers that list with us the first year, they list one position. The next year, they list another 2 positions. And I've had one company, when they started off, they were a small company, we had 10 people. They hired one flexi mom, and then they grew with us. I mean, literally grew with us. And the last time this year, she hired her 6th mom with us, and they have about 27 employees in total. So that's a significant number out of 27.
Yeah.
And she loves it. She says it works. You know, it can be beneficial to everybody, and they stay for a long time because they cherish that.
That flexibility.
Yeah.
So what is considered flexible working hours for mom?
I laugh about this because in the earlier years there would be companies who would tell me we're very flexible. You can come in at 7:30, 8 or 8:30. And I say, right, that's really flexible. It's not that. Actually, what it is really the different types would be part-time work from home. We call it job sharing, and we've seen this happen where 2 people share a job. So someone comes in the morning, and then the other person comes in the afternoon, and they do separate duties usually. Yeah, and we've also had work from home part-time, freelance is another one, and what we call also very odd hours. So we have people, for example, going 3 days a week, and 2 days they work from home. And so it's really different permutations. And what's interesting about flexible work arrangements, I've come to notice this as well, it's actually more effective if both parties have this conversation beforehand and they agree to be flexible about it as well. Because there are times where you really need the person to be in the office 5 days a week, and you say, this is our peak period, you have to be here, and okay, I'll compromise. And then in exchange, we have a give back later on, or some kind of exchange, and that's when it really works. So it is also, to a certain extent, a very large extent, dependent on personalities of both sides. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're gonna actually go and tune in right now and start taking questions in from the moms. So moms, if you've been tuning in and if you've been watching today's episode, we're talking about how to kind of have it all, how to be a super mom and still hold on to a good corporate job. I'm with Mrs. Sher-Li Torrey, who is from Moms at Work. So we've got a mom who says, is being a stay-at-home mom a real job?
Okay.
That's a loaded question.
Yeah, it is a loaded question. Okay, I think in terms of, if you talk about whether I think the question is probably trying to ask if we were to put that on a resume, would that work? The answer is no. I have to.
But you learn time management.
Yeah.
And
so what it is we teach
dealing with subordinates.
Yeah, people demand your time all the time. What's really interesting is we say, rather than focus on the fact of giving a job title, look at that period of time and ask yourself if there were skills that you picked up, and you redesign your resume and redesign the way you explain who you are and how you are, and define yourself in terms of skills. Because from the employer's point of view, it's always what's in it for me. Why should I hire you? So if you say I'm stay-at-home mom, then the answer is what's in it for me to hire you. But if you turn that around and instead of saying I'm a stay-at-home mom, you say, during my time looking after the kids, I discovered that I'm really good at multitasking. I'm really good at managing time, and this was something that I did not pick up before. And because I've learned it now, when I apply for this new job, I know I can transfer those skill sets into this new job. You see the difference? It's really powerful to translate it into a language that the employer understands, as opposed to just giving it a title. So I do have women who say, I want to put down stay-at-home mom as a job. And I said, it's fine, but you have to understand from the employer's point of view, there's no added value. It becomes added value only if you recreate it into the skill sets. Yeah.
That's really interesting. So probably moms should, when they talk about being a stay-at-home mom, they should add in things that they learned during that journey and experiences they picked up.
Yeah. And how it will benefit the employee.
Yeah. Understood. Okay. How can you climb the corporate ladder if you're constantly away from the office and from your colleagues?
Okay, so that's the other thing. We do have a lot of women who say, for example, I took on a flexible work arrangement and they don't get promoted. So this is something that we also spend some time speaking to the hiring managers. Now, the challenge here is not so much that you haven't delivered. The challenge is the perception of the rest of the team. So because you don't have FaceTime, you don't spend time enough with the team. So what we do recommend sometimes is, if you're very clear that you wanted to kind of still move up the corporate ladder, have those discussions where you say, are there certain jobs or certain things that I can take on that allow me to be slightly more prominent. So when we say work at home, which is why we always advise is, do not spend all 5 weeks working at home. And the best flexible work arrangement managers will say this: I know you work from home, but once a week you have to come in for the meeting so that the rest of the team remembers you. Because if they don't remember you, I'm not going to be able to move you up. I'm not going to be able to promote you. And the worst thing is, you're going to feel very isolated and you're not going to have that loyalty. So it's almost a given, and the success stories have always been guaranteed. You have to come in for, at least once a week. Or
is there an ideal amount of time of FaceTime?
No, actually, people ask me this all the time, because some employers say, tell me the ratio. And I say, it's really not that, because it depends on the team size. It depends on the job duty. It's not about just coming in just so that you're like, hi everybody, I'm here. But it's really about, is there something worthwhile and substantial? So for example, the meeting, But the average you do see is once a week. Okay, yeah. Where both sides become happy about it. Yeah.
Okay, got it. I want to be a stay-at-home mother in Singapore, and I want to be able to financially provide for my children and family with a 4-figure salary. Is this possible?
Well, 4 figures starts at 1,000, right? So technically it is possible.
I think what she means is slightly above 5,000 or so.
The group that usually wants to take control of this and say, I'm going to earn this myself, would be more likely than not wanting to, so with flexible arrangements, to answer that question, yes. A lot of the flexible arrangements that we list are 4 figures.
Okay. What about 5 figures?
No, to be honest. Unless it was a director level, which we've had as well. Again, see, it's packed to the job duty. It's not packed to the fact that it was work from home. I remember looking at that job description that came in, it was a 5 figure. And I called them up and I said, are you sure? And they said yes, because this particular position would need this person to come in only once every week if possible. But the deliverables are very clear. And it's someone with a lot of work experience. We have to pay for that work experience. So it was done, and they found someone.
They did. And it was a work from home mom?
Yeah, and this lady before had been, I can be honest, she was a CFO before. So to her, it was a bit of a downgrade in terms of her job title. But she had the figure, and she told me it's perfect because I spend time with my kids when I want to. And a lot of these things can be done from home. We've had it with the law firm as well, and the timing, the work hours were really bizarre. I can't name the firm, but the person would come in like late at night and work till odd hours, and they would go back and spend time with the babies. They had twins, and she had twins, and they allowed that for about 1.5 years. And I'm very sure she was earning 5 figures during that period of time. But what happened was they changed the job duties, so they were not so much,
dependent.
It was independent all the time. Yeah, and she basically had to work as part of the team and support more. But she knew that this was temporary, and this was the way, so she could keep her so-called title and all the benefits that came with it. And of course, not everybody wants to work from 8 p.m. till 3 a.m. But she saw that as something that was going to benefit her, and she worked with it. Yeah.
Really interesting. What type of careers and job scopes would you recommend for moms who want to work from home?
It's not so much about the specific career, but the job scope usually, well, number one, what I rule out most of the time is if the role is extremely client-facing. You're almost guaranteed that you have a lot of flexibility, but if you just want to work from home, you're going to have some challenge because you're going to go out there and face the client. The other one I would say would be positions where usually you are part of the team and your role is very much packed to working with another person. The other one is also the IT roles, for example, where there's a lot of security involved. So someone asked me once, in banks, the tech team, can they be in the home? And I said, honestly, no, because you just can't, because of all the firewalls, and all the protections. So, with those, having said that, the majority of the roles, you can actually permutate the positions such that there will be segments that can be from home. I think the lawyer one's a perfect example, because usually you always think to yourself, how is that possible? And that's what they did, and it was a success story. Yeah.
That's interesting. What's the pros and cons to a child's development of a working mom versus a stay-at-home mom?
Oh, I've been asked this a lot of time. Do I hurt my child if I stop working? Do I hurt my child if I stay at home? This is going to sound pretty airy-fairy, but the truth is, if you're happy, the children I've seen this a lot of times. I have had mothers tell me things like, I quit my job for my son, so he better do well for his exam. And I did not pass a judgment at that time, but it as a mom, it made me realize if I put all that pressure on the child, I don't know how happy will that child be. So for me, there were a lot of moments when I questioned, because I obviously, when you run your own business, there will be down times and there are up times. And I often ask myself, is this worth it? Am I doing the best for my kid? And I spend quite a bit of time with them, but at the same time, would it be better if I spend all my time with them, or would it be better if I earned a lot more and everyone's happy and what have you? But and I realized one day she went to school. She was a lot younger, and she went to school and they asked, what do you want to be? And she said, I want to be a mom at work. And obviously the teacher's like, I have no idea what we're talking about. And they asked me, and I kind of explained it. And I said, what did she say I do as a mom at work? And she said, you sit at this table and you're talking to her, but also working on the computer, and you talk a lot all the time. And I said, okay. But what was very interesting for me was the child watches you and they learn from who you are. And she knows I'm very proud of what I do. I like what I do a lot. And I think it translates to her. Because sometimes when we talk about it and she says, I want to do things that will help people, that will be useful.
That have impact.
Yeah, so that is very, for me as a mother, very empowering, because I realize if anything else, they're watching, and if I'm really unhappy all the time, they're going to sense it too, right? So to answer that question, I think it's not so much about choosing either way, but saying, what is a choice that after I make it, I don't get angry with my kids? Because it's not their fault that, I made that career choice to either stay on or leave,
Mm-hmm.
But what is the best option as well? Because there are also a lot of working moms who are so bitter and angry and they're tired and they come home and they tell me I take it out on the kids and I don't like it. So I think that's the question that you have to ask, as opposed to what is the detrimental effect on the child.
Okay. We've got the last question for today, and that actually follows up with what you just said, which is, do you have any time management tips or any other tips for working moms?
Yes. I think it's important to segment areas of your life. I'm very much a multitasker. My calendar has my activities, and then in another color the kids' activities, and then another color the husband's activities, right? This is how I manage my time. But I know that for a lot of women out there, this does not work. So you have to find what is the way you segment your time, because we all given 24 hours, right? Mm-hmm. Some of us need a lot more sleep than me. Then I don't get it, but it's really about thinking through, how am I going to manage it so that it works for me? Mm-hmm. If it means that I'm a person who needs to focus entirely, then I need that time, that 3-hour block, that's just my time to do my work. And then 2 hours is for my kids and so on and so forth. I think what happens with a lot of us is we just let whatever comes, just hit us like arrows, and that's when you feel very overwhelmed. But if you were actually a little bit more structured and think about what is it how do I segment my time, you find that these little pockets of time helps you. It's almost like I said, the time, not me, but I've seen moms do this, that they will tell me, okay, this is my time for work, and then I stop, 10 p.m. sharp, my time is with kids and my time is with. And those who do this well, they tell me, I feel like I'm in control. Actually, what it is really being able to have control of your own time. And that's something that's very powerful, I think, and very, very empowering when you think about it.
Right, great tips. I'm in fact going to start practicing a couple of it
Tell me how it
for
goes.
myself as well, and I will let you know how it goes.
Okay.
Thank you, moms, for tuning in for today's episode of ParentTown TV, and thank you, Sher-Li, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So do you have any final last words for our moms who are tuning in on how they can have it all?
I think it's very important that you are very comfortable with the choices you make, whether you choose to stay at home, whether you choose to go on with your career, or whether even you choose to be in a flexible work arrangement. It's your choice, right? I mean, it's not about what people tell you. At the end of the day, we all want to be a good mother, and whether you're a career woman who happens to be a mother, or whether you are pure stay-at-home mom. You're just doing the best that you can. The other thing I always say is with flexible work arrangements, it is out there. There are jobs that offer it, and you should, if you want to, try and ask for it, because you never know. Until you ask for it, you really never know what your boss is able to give to you. So I think ask for it and then give it a shot, and then say, okay, it doesn't work, or it works. Yeah.
And if anyone's looking for something, they can always go
to
your portal.
You can always come to our portal. It's free to join, so you can always just come by and check out the jobs. You apply directly to the jobs. We hold career fairs. We hold a lot of recruitment activities as well, where companies come to us and say, we're looking for this type of women with this kind of skill sets, this kind of work experience. Come by, let them come by for a networking session, and we'll hire someone from there.
So it's momsatwork.net.
Yeah, momsatwork.net.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you again, Sher-Li.
Thanks very much for having me.
And thank you for tuning in. Good night.